If the earth was the heaven, and the heaven the earth, man would be like an angel, just a floating around in the sun, just a floating around in the sun. Oh, it's you. Oh, what a glorious morning. Oh, what a glorious day. There is no night in Zion, oh no, where there is so much love, where there is so much love. Oh, it's you. Oh, you need her not to worry. Oh, you need her not to fight. All you do is praise your King and live, where there is so much love, where there is so much love. Oh, oh, you need her not to worry.
Step up the ladder you be climb, come step up. All who want step up in a life, just step up. Moving to a higher kind of height, boy, step up. And stop wasting your time and step up. Up, 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 up. Climb up, everybody climb 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 up. Cause you got the capability and the ability and the facility to be what you wanna be. If you could only see the possibility and use your energy for stepping up your liberty, the power of the Trinity, and that is in a we. It has divinity from now to infinity. Christ's personality, the iris of his majesty. So last is the authority to step up your mentality. Step up, all who want step up in a life, come step up. Moving up and trying to survive, boy, step up. Stop wasting your time and step up. Up, up, up the ladder you be climb, come step up. All who want step up in a life, just step up. Moving to a higher kind of height, boy, step up. And stop wasting your time and step up. Up, 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 up. Climb up, everybody climb 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 up. When me say step up, and not just money me a talk. I don't know big fancy car, you coulda just step up and a walk. Step up in your thinking, step up in your thought, step up in your mind. Me say step up in your heart, just step up. All who want step up in a life, come step up. Moving up and trying to survive, boy, step up. And stop wasting your time and step up. Up, up, up the ladder you be climb, come step up. All who want step up in a life, just step up. Moving to a higher kind of height, boy, step up. And stop wasting your time and step up. Up, 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 up. Climb up, everybody climb 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 up. Always try to better yourself and try to progress. Work and perseverance is the way to success. Always try your best, nothing any less. Stepping up the ladder with the righteousness. Look how you are live, look how your life is in a mess. Some of the things you do with man up. I know my
know where I am supposed to go. Anyhow, I am lost on the journey. So lastly, I will follow. For it's gonna see me through. friend me, 'cause that's the way it's supposed to be. I have a purpose that I must fulfill. I am going the distance, each and every mile. I've got to do it still, and yet I still keep spreading down music. I'm gonna tell you to kill me ready and steady. Take your shot to pills. Your body's food and never make you ill. Oh, I know my destiny. Do you know your destiny? Say your prayers to you and me, 'cause that's the way it's supposed to be. I know my destiny. Do you know your destiny? We should know. Oh, not live in a fantasy, only deal with reality. I'm free Trump Babylon. I am Queen Omega, mother of creation. I never asked to be here. It's my destination. To watch power and stone, to lead the people in the right direction. I know my destiny. Do you know your destiny? We should know. We should know. 'Cause that's the way it's supposed to be. Living in a unity. I know my destiny. Do you know your destiny? We should know destiny. We should know. We should know. Oh, I feel it, a people. I feel trample the evil. On the higher level. Now bow to the devil. I'm over the natural bubble. So when you see me, just a season settle for me. Up the the water when I'm boiling on the kettle. Me just up off the test, don't be collect the kettle like a barber tonight. Me well on the level, uncomfortable, and never miss the level. Me able to do it in a base on the level. But don't touch what me see.
To live a little love with you, such a joy for a day. It comes from my heart, ain't no lie. Just a little love with you, such a joy to I and I. Comes from my heart, ain't no lie. They say my heart shares far too many. Hey, what do you say? They say my thoughts worth no more than a penny. Hey, what do you say? It's article, unconditional. Can you deal with it? Can you deal with it? Oh, child, I'm glad you came. Oh, praise your name. Love will keep you fit. Love will keep you fit. Oh, child, to live a little love with you, such a joy to I and I. Comes from my heart, ain't no lie. Just a little love with you, such a joy to I and I. Comes from my heart, ain't no lie. They say some dread, hey, full up of too much reason, hey, but
Testing 1, 2.
I know.
Family.
They say
I don't think I'm on the radio. That's everybody.
hey, don't have any feeling,
Blessings. Welcome to the Temple of New African Thought. Thanks for your patience as we get started today. We have mics here. We also have family members live here in the room, but also online. So don't leave them out. You know, those that are online, go ahead and we can see your chat messages come in. So you can engage that way. And if you want to, you can also come up on the screen and we can see you and hear you that way as well. So I'm Dr. Genesis R. Winkler. And again, welcome. I see we have Sister Queenie B. Maybe you'll say something today. I'm not sure. Welcome. Thanks for holding it down inside the chat. I see Ricky. I see Mama Madeline, Mama and Danu. Because y'all can't see each other, but, you know, if you want to, turn your camera on. If you want to say something, bless us. And then I see Michael Smith Bay. Greetings. And we have those in the house. So I want to again say welcome. Thanks for coming out. We're going to have a discussion today. But before we get started, like always, I like to have our Baba Connell Rose, open us up with a libation. Do you want to use this Baba? This chair? I mean, I can bring it over.
Testing. First of all, good afternoon, or habari za mchana, or simply jambo, in Kiswahili means how are you? First of all, libation is a ritual, and the purpose of ritual is to create harmony between the human world and the world of the Creator, ancestors, and nature. As our ancestor Maya Angelou has said often, the greatest gifts are the blessings of the past. So let us thank those who came before us. Now, when you hear me say the word Ashe, which is a Yoruba word meaning it is done or so be it, you simply respond with Ashe. We now pour to that great African playwright, Publius Terentius Afer, commonly called Terence the Playwright. He was born in Libya around 185 BCE. He was an African slave sold to a Roman senator. He was freed by that senator and became the most popular playwright in Rome. The skill of learning Latin was taught by a senator, which earned him his freedom. His well-known quote is, "I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me." It signifies the interconnectedness of humanity and the belief that no human experience should be completely unfamiliar or incomprehensible to us. It sort of rings the bell of the African concept known as Ubuntu, that emphasizes the interconnectedness of individuals and the importance of community. Ashe. Terence the Playwright is also known for his famous quote, "There's a demand in these days for men who can make wrong appear right." He said this 2,210 years ago, and here we are in 2025 exhibiting the same mentality. Man has not changed much, maybe technologically, but Western thought is still disseminated only as an ideal, never as pragmatism. We now ask this much forgotten ancestor to be with us, to bless us, and to renew us for our struggles ahead. Ashe.
Ashe.
We now pour to the Black Panther Party, whose public service or community initiatives remain among us do not receive public recognition. One of the most lauded endeavors included hiring teenagers to make senior citizens on errands and protect them from muggings. Hire the mugger to protect the mugger, as the Panthers put it. Also, the first broad public awareness of sickle cell anemia as a disease that disproportionately plagued blacks was for the most part due to the efforts of the Black Panther Party. At its peak, the breakfast program fed 70,000 children annually throughout the United States. Now, what's the Black? Now, listen, I call that Black Power. It seems they responded to Dr. King's words: silence in the face of oppression is betrayal. In addition, the party estimated that it gave away 1,000 bags of groceries and 1,000 pairs of shoes each month for the needy. While the well-intentioned efforts of the Black Panther Party didn't go unnoticed by many in the general public, criticism of the organization by the establishment and the media was in no short supply. So we ask these ancestors to be with us, to bless us, to renew us for our struggles ahead. Ashe.
Ashe.
We now pour to that great musical innovator, Charlie Parker, who revolutionized jazz with his bebop style and his groundbreaking improvisational techniques, particularly on the saxophone. He's noted for saying, music is your own experience, your own thoughts, your wisdom. If you don't live it, it will not come out of your horn. They teach you there's a boundary line to music, but man, there's no boundary line to art. So we ask this ancestor to be with us, to bless us, and to renew us for our struggles ahead. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Ashe, family, give our ancestors a round of applause. Bring them in. Thanks, Baba Rose.
Terrence, have you heard of Terrence the playwright?
Terrence the playwright?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
He lived like 2,210 years ago. Yeah, he said that what the same is for men today who makes wrong appear right. You see that happening today in society. Trump administration, our society makes wrong appear right.
Oh, shit. And thank you again. During this time, we asked if anyone has anything that they want to add, whether that be through any form of expression that you would like to share, whether that be some kind words, some challenging words, some inspirational words, a poem, whether that be music, whether that be dance, whatever it is that you can bring to the circle, we ask that you share with the community. Hold on a second.
This is a piece called Harlem. Granddad, what happens to a people when their quest for true liberation is constantly suppressed? Well, sonny boy, one answer can be found in our ancestor Langston Hughes' poem called Harlem. Listen, this is how it goes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe, son, it just sags. Maybe it just sags. Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? Thank you very much.
Ashe.
Granddad, you're skewing me.
Well, we're awake now. You know, that's the way to get the energy going. I couldn't thank you any more. All right, is there another? I'll get it.
I was sent this from brother Shakir Mitchell in the system this morning, and I think this will go better, not better, but and here it goes. Know this. In fact, many true revolutionaries have actually developed from criminal-minded to spiritual-minded. inspiring others through productive life examples to do the same. In fact, in our culture, wisdom is not achieved by living a righteous life. Wisdom and true understanding are achieved through a series of failures, mistakes, insecurities, and doubts, which one overcomes, turning such life experiences into degrees and credentials for warning and teaching of others. A conscious Nubian is simply aware of his non-physical nature and seeks to develop it just as one would develop his physical nature. To be aware is to be awoke. It is to be alert or not asleep. It is to be conscious and not unconscious. Peace be unto all the real revolutionaries and the ones who are and willing to do the hard work. Peace and blessings.
Blessings. Thank you. Thank you. You got something for me, Mr. Epps? Sister Camille, are we back there? I know where I'm going to hide the chairs at next week. All right. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Oh, you ready? We're gonna have to let you close us out. Go about. You ready? Good. You say ain't nobody else jumping to it, huh? You.
First of all, good afternoon, or Habarizam Chano, simply Jambo, which means how are you? Peace while here. I'd like to start off today with a tribute to Chef K, a masterful culinary artist. Chef K is considered a masterful culinary artist, not just for her cooking skills, but for her creativity, innovation, and ability to elevate the dining experience from a simple act of consuming food into something that we would consider to be par excellence. Furthermore, via her Jamaican-American cuisine, she demonstrates exceptional attention to detail and presentation, transforming plates into visually stunning works of art. For me, her food always tastes like more. And I'm sure this expression is also applicable to her husband, Dr. Dennis Ausar Winkler, whose favorite dish is the jam and yam.
Oh, boy.
The jam and yam. Now, what more can I say about our masterful culinary Chef K? She deserves a round of applause today.
So join us now. They set the way. Baba set the way for you.
I wrote that this morning.
I say. You had some energy this morning, huh?
There's some energy, man. I told you I was coming into the flesh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate that. I see Mama and Donnie on the screen. Did you have something for us, Mama? Oh, I did see you. No? Let's see if we can hear you, though. Let's see if we can hear you. I just give us a mic check then online. Brother Tyrone, you fast. You say it again, Mama.
Love to everyone.
Okay. Well, this is what we're going to ask of you since you're at home and you don't ever want to say anything. We want to ask if you can at least greet us, and that'll be part of your internet role as the senior elder. We at least want to hear your voice, at least say greetings like you did. Is that okay?
Okay. I think I just did that, but from today I'll put on. Make me proud. Okay.
Okay. Love you too. And what I was asking is that be a regular thing when we see your face on the screen, not necessarily just now.
Okay.
Okay.
All
so
right.
We'll just pull her up in the future. Okay, cool. All right. You can. All right. So, Doc, you have anything? Oh, I'm gonna give you a mic though. I'll give it.
Just good to be here. When I heard the topic with second order change,
Mm-hmm.
that was very attractive to me. That to me is the key to changing patterns,
Oh, okay.
to shifting the way we are.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between fighting against and fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're fighting against, then you're doing the same thing, having the same behaviors and values, just, right and wrong kind of mentality, then that creates that first order change, that surface change. But when we really start looking deep inside of ourselves and say, what's the pattern, what's the values, what's the beliefs that are the foundation of my behaviors, and what is my responsibility? Because none of us is innocent. We all participate, sins of omission, sins of commission. So when I start saying, how do I participate in the system the way it is, then I can do my internal work and create some second order change. Because like I said, we all buy in real subtle ways, where we shop, what we watch, what we listen to, what we talk about, what we think. So when I start doing my internal work, then I create more second order change, rather than pointing outside, but looking inside and say, what is my responsibility and what can I do to genuinely shift things?
I see.
You did ask, right?
Yes. Yes. You complete?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Thank you, Baba. All right. So, family. Is there another? Anyone else before we move on? All right. You like, don't look at me. And Sister Trina, Okay. All right. So you have something? Oh, okay, cool. So this is what we'll do. We'll go ahead and we'll get started. What I'll do now is start with a brief meditation, if we can, which I call a consciousness realignment. As I say, because as many people, my elders included, say that mindfulness, there was a thing before mindfulness. And so I say, a lot of our scholars speak about awakening our consciousness as African Black people. So what better way to call it consciousness realignment? And again, if you can give me something. If you can sit in a comfortable posture, look erect, your body in what they call a dignified posture, but still comfortable for where you are. If you can place your hands how you want them, on your lap, preferably in some order. If you close your eyes, if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, just gaze at an object on the floor. If you can begin, just bring yourself to center by breathing in deeply through your nose, allowing your stomach to expand fully, deeply and slowly. And then when it's completely full, let it out slower and slower. Let's do that about 2 more times in a cycle. If your mind wanders, that's fine. Just bring it back to your breath. And one more time if you haven't reached it yet. And when you finish your third inhale and exhale, just bring it back to a normal rhythm. Now bring your attention to your body, noticing your body as a whole in this space, amongst other bodies. Now bringing it more directly on your own body, starting with your feet. Notice how they're grounded or planted on the floor. Still breathing at your core. Just notice your feet. Notice if you have socks on or shoes that are wrapping your feet. Just notice them. Notice how they feel against whatever it's wrapped in, and also how it's planted on the floor. I'm working on up, noticing your legs, all the way up to your bottom, and how it's been supported in the chair that you're sitting in. In your back, notice your back. If that's being supported, or if you're supporting it on your own. And notice your hands, wherever they are, your arms, still breathing at your core. Notice your head and your neck and your upper region of your body and how you're supporting it. Now notice your clothes, the clothes you have on your body. Notice how they feel against your skin. Still breathing at your core. Just notice your clothes, how it feels against your skin. If your mind wanders, that's fine. Just bring it on back. And return back to your breathing. Breathing in through your nose. In through pursed lips, exhale. Notice your breathing as you breathe in. Notice how your body moves as you breathe in. Typically, your stomach expands. And your mind and your chest and your shoulders kind of rise. And on exhale, it normally relaxes. Typically, when you exhale, the body tends to relax. Focusing on your breath. It's not going to be too much longer. Noticing your inhale, the temperature at the tip of your nose. And on exhale, if you exhale through your nose, notice the difference or the fluctuation. Do that a few more times. Bring your mind back to your breath if it wanders off. We're going to count from 5 to 1. And then we're going to join ourselves back in the room. 5. And we're going to inhale slowly and deeply. And exhale. 4. Still breathing at your core. 3. Still breathing at your core. If your mind wanders, just bring it back to your breath. 2. And 1. When you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and join us back in the room. All right. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and how's everybody? What, awake?
Awake.
Oh,
I'm woke.
You woke?
I'm a woke person.
Oh, you a woke person. I hope you get some sleep too. So yeah, as Dr. Gregory articulated earlier, this week I chose to use the Kemetic deity known as Sekhmet. And I want to ask you all to join us in a conversation today. The book that I'm writing is called Ingia, The Journey of Both and. Sacred framework for reclaiming psychology, psychotherapy, and collective wellness. And as one who has been studying a long time, to some degree, I guess relative, as a son of Baba Ausar and the community, I've always heard this idea of both and. But from my own observation, I think that I think it's a very difficult concept to kind of capture many times for us. That things come from various perspectives, various angles, and 2 or more things can be true at one time. To me, that is when we talk about therapy or counseling or healing, that perspective, that framework I made as a core component of this framework I've developed. And actually I say theory, that I've been in my head for many years, but I'm putting down on paper. And I guess I gotta be really honest. It's something when you do things for so long and you really don't know what you're doing, like you don't know the significance of it. In fact, I just Dr. Gregory, not just because you're here, I've mentioned your name a lot when you're not here. So okay, so is that right? Y'all heard of Dr. Gregory, right? That's Dr. Gregory right there. So one of the things I want to say is Dr. Gregory, when I first got my when I first was coming out of school and things like that, he was like, okay, so I don't know, I might not say it verbatim, but he says things in very uh, uh, very wise fortune cookie type ways sometimes. I guess he calls his prose, like he has a book over there, and he has another book that just recently came out. Brother Abs, can you give me that book right there? And I'm excited about this book. It's long. It's been a long wait, and just want to kind of share with the family. I'll make sure you know. In fact, we just got some copies from him today, and it's called Mind Training. And if you haven't checked out his podcast and all the other things that he does, I always refer people to these things and my clients and just community people. Myself. Especially dealing with today's topic, I think I will go there. He has one on anger that I think is really essential, right? So mind training, the book is called Mind Training, Journey to Self-Actualization. And I can't, well, I guess we're going to add it to our rite of passage that we're going to be doing because it's done. So I'm going to add another one to the list that I'm working on. So I appreciate that. They say it's timely. Any Maslow in it? You had to ask him. Hold on. Okay, let me make sure we hold on, Bob.
Yes, Matt.
Keep the mic.
Maslow's assertion that we all have the same basic needs. We try to meet them in different ways, sometimes healthy ways and sometimes not so healthy ways. But at the core, we're all trying to do the same basic things. That you're trying to meet physiological needs, be safe, sense of love and belonging, and a sense of actualization of our potential. The interesting thing about Maslow is Maslow spent a lot of time with indigenous populations. He didn't just study Eurocentric ways of doing things. He actually spent, I think it was 8 months in indigenous Native American villages, absorbing their point of view. Because the Western view of psychology is only at the most a couple thousand years old. Humans have been on this planet at least 200,000 years. At least. And they didn't call them therapists or social workers. And sometimes we call them shamans and grandmothers and all kinds of names. But in every village, every community, there were always indigenous healers, helpers, that help people raise their consciousness to be more complete and more in line with their divine nature.
Self-actualization. I remember him saying that. He thought Dr. King was a great example of self-actualization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. When brothers and sisters get to the point where this is where I stand. You do what you're gonna do. But this is where I stand in my truth. And this is what I bring to the table. Whether you're talking about Martin or Malcolm or Gandhi or Sojourner Truth or whoever, that's a defined space to be. So I'm just doing what the divine has for me to do. What you do is on you.
Oh, I was saying
put it back close to my mouth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm hard-headed. I'll do better.
So we can't be born in sin, right?
Well, it's not either or.
Both.
It's both things.
Duality.
It's both things. Everything is on a continuum.
Yeah.
We all have potential for everything when we're born. And we the one thing you get on this planet is free will. The ability to make a choice, not about what happens to you, but about how you're going to respond to that. And that can take you into more sin or into liberation. They sent Mandela to jail for 27 years on a humble.
Right.
He came out in a larger state of consciousness and being even more helpful, you know? So you can go to jail, and you know, a lot of people go in and come to jail and come out twice as crazy as you went in. But other people go in and they come back like they've been in a monastery. They've been studying themselves internally and getting degrees and whatever, come out and open up programs and just a different person. So it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with it.
It seems like when you're born in sin, you're starting off on a bad foot. I thought you were born under the divine principle.
Yeah.
May I interject?
Of course not.
We're gonna have a both fan. You can interject, and I'm gonna take it back at some point.
From my worldview and perspective, none of us are born in sin. You know, that's something that's a product of a religion. I won't name it, but we all know. How can we be products and results of the divine and be born in sin? It does not compute. It doesn't add up. The choice, as Dr. Gregory said, is where we come in. None of us are born in sin. We choose to consciously, unconsciously, willingly, unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly fall into that quote unquote sin.
May I say it this way? Life is a school. So we're born into this thing with certain challenges to learn certain lessons. If everything was good all the time and perfect, it would be no point in us being here. But this is just a stopover in us learning about life, raising our consciousness so we can be more pure energy of the divine. That's our source. That's where we come. And even what the physicists say, what the mystics have always said, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. See, it must have been true.
Somebody have something to say? Well, don't worry about it. We'll work it out. Tell them if somebody have a question, type it in the chat, I guess. So let's do this, family. I appreciate it, y'all. The round robin is going. It's popping. Sekhmet, and it might be this actually, Brother Tyran. It might be me. It might be me because so Sekhmet in second order change. So I want to say this, just to kind of preface this conversation. Today we reflect not just on a myth, but on the meaning of Sekhmet. Sekhmet is often misunderstood as only destructive, but she is also the guardian of sacred order, also known as Mayat. She embodies what I have connected with second order change. The kind that doesn't just rearrange dysfunction, but removes it at its root. Similar to what Dr. Greg was speaking about earlier. Because second order change is not about rearranging furniture and continuing to do the same thing. I also want to speak to this idea. It's interesting because some years ago, in fact, it's very interesting. I went to speak to a gentleman about being in ministry. And being in ministry, often what happens is this thing when you speak about principles. And if something is going on within the community, we often start to ask questions. Was that about me? Was that about you? Was that about them? Was that about those over there? And I'll answer the question. It's easy. Yes. But not necessarily. Both and. And what I mean by that is interesting because I went to this gentleman and I said so, and he shared with me that typically people come to institutions like ministries to have a certain level of conviction, to also to help themselves reflect deeper, but sometimes it becomes a struggle. We talk about we want to live Mayat, but there's certain things that we have to contend with if we are to keep things in order, balance, reciprocity, harmony, all these type of things. So what I do, I pass this out to some who weren't here. This comedic table from last week or the last 2 weeks when we were talking about Tahuti, aka Thoth, aka Jehudi, and these principles that come out of the book Stolen Legacy. And I promise you, these principles have been talked about for many. I've been talking about these things forever. And I mean, some of you've already probably been talking about these as well. These principles, they're principles that have been going on forever. Control of thought, control of action, steadfastness of purpose, identification with higher ideals, evidence of life's mission, evidence of a spiritual calling, freedom from resentment under persecution, confidence in the master to teach truth, confidence in one's own capacity to learn, and readiness for initiation. These are principles that you may find in many African-centered spaces, and I've been kind of highlighting them for years now because I think that these principles speak to something, to speak to this aspects of Mayat. So control of thoughts. To me, if that's an ancient Kemetic principle, I say that Aaron T. Beck wasn't the first one that thought about a cognition and the feelings that come from those cognitions that also impact the way that we behave. Again, we've been talking about these things for millennia to keep ourselves in balance. So now what I mean is, I think that it's important to understand that whenever there's a message, look at the message and how it may reflect on yourself. So is the message about you? Yes. Is it about me? Yes. It's about all of us doing our part. And I want to, I think I kind of want to talk about this just to kind of set this stage. Teaching versus venting. Y'all know what I mean? Teaching versus venting. There's a difference. What y'all think I'm saying?
Venting is just getting stuff off your chest.
You mic up a little bit.
Venting, you're just getting stuff off your chest.
Yeah.
No deliberate, sensible thought behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. So teaching is venting is just getting something off your chest. Yeah. Anybody else?
I agree with Baba. But I would like to add the teaching part of it. The teaching part would be more so having a goal in mind, like the outcome or whatever, which you want your audience to walk away with.
Absolutely. Yeah. just in my own experience, I think that whenever you're doing community work, you can speak on any principle that's going to hit somebody. And they're like, whoa. And if it hits you, I think it's important for us to kind of reflect on that. Reflect on it. Because the thing is, teaching is with a purpose, right? It's not out of spite. No? Shouldn't be. Help me out.
Well, I think again, I said teaching is what you want your audience to walk away with or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if your spirit says if your spirit is like I guess a negative one or something where your goal is to I don't know. I'm just
a lesson.
It's
payback.
It should payback versus a lesson or whatever.
Yeah.
So then that's when teaching kind of took a turn.
Yeah.
For your best interest, not for the people's interest.
Yeah. And that's what I will call venting or revenge. You had one, Mike?
Yeah, to me, teaching is most effective when it kind of includes both. When I say both, not just intellectual information, but emotional presence also. And the key is for that not to let that sink into being something just negative and just dumping on people.
Absolutely.
But it needs to be more than just information and intellectual. It needs to include the emotion.
Emotion. But not pure emotion.
Not overwhelmed by emotion.
But not pure emotion. Like what I mean. So that you say intellect and emotion.
Yeah. But not exclusively emotion.
Yeah, not exclusively emotion. Yeah.
And not exclusively intellect.
Not exclusively intellect. Both and.
Both and.
So again, both and. And I agree.
Most effective teachers are passionate, believe in, and have good feelings about the people they're teaching and what they're teaching.
And some conviction.
Some conviction.
Yeah. And I so to me, I agree with all of that, and I think we can frame things in many ways. Like I can agree with Sister Trina, I can agree with Bob and Dr. Gregory, I agree with all these things, but I do believe I agree that it requires both. But I don't, as you said, most effective when it includes both, but not just out of rage, right? Not out of rage. But I think the thing is why, and I kind of want to talk about Sekhmet a little bit. Let me go into Sekhmet before I keep talking, right? So let me read this out of the book, and it might be in your last page. You may have it. The excerpt from Spiritual Warriors or Healers. Do y'all have that? Sekhmet was a lioness nectar that personified the fierce, destructive heat of the sun. Her name means the powerful one. She was a nectar of war and heat, daughter of Ra, consort of Ptah, and mother of Nefertum. Now, you don't have to know all the rest of these deities, but just know these are Kemetic deities that make up a pantheon of divine or deities. But Sekhmet was the lioness in this pantheon of deities. So she invoked in healing and protection, turning back plagues and infections. She is the lady in the red, a powerful force whose vengeance is swift, but also a great mother who shields her children from adversity with fierce love. how strong she is without contender. She honors her name as Sekhmet of the cities. Right eye, she's the right eye of Ra, most holy of places. So anyway, Sekhmet, she was said to have been sent down to the earth from Ra, the supreme being, you can say, to put things back in order. And what I realized is that many times we do good with the things that feel good. One of my elders said that one of the most overly used ways to cope in a society is avoidance. You know him, Doc?
I think I've heard that statement.
And it's comfortable until it's not comfortable. Avoidance is comfortable until it's not comfortable. Avoidance is having the same thing happen over, or you're just avoiding being direct or confronting an issue that you know has been going on for some time. How many people know I'm talking about? How many people want to talk to her? I mean, I want to talk to her? Okay. So I put directness is sacred. I have no issue personally with directness. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no time to taper that or temper that, right? There are moments where sacred clarity requires us to name what is present. Sekhmet didn't whisper. She showed up. And sometimes so must we. So as we talked about a few weeks back, that these deities can represent aspects of yourself. So we don't have to, pardon. Now, I would argue to be complete or whole, we have to harness these different aspects of ourselves. And being able to confront and set boundaries is a part of it. To do things that's uncomfortable is a part of it. What I realize, if we in our minds, lots of times we think that we like things that just, we like to giggle all day. Not everybody. I'm exaggerating a bit. But the reality is that a lot of us, we do. We love to, we say, what do you want? I just want to be joyful all day. I just want to be happy. I don't want any struggle. I don't want any struggle. I don't want any confrontation. I don't want to do what? Set boundaries. Then when you're around others that set boundaries, that becomes uncomfortable. But we have to set boundaries. As Ra sent Sekhmet down to the earth to put some things in order. You put things in order through what Sekhmet's wrath, or whatever you want to call it, the heat. But it was not, the heat was not to hurt, it was to heal. So Sekhmet was also a deity that was known as a healer. But through that feminine essence, she was putting things back where they're supposed to be. They say through fire, there's puration. And that is what Sekhmet represents. And sometimes when the fire is on, it's uncomfortable. I mean, lots of times, right? But you would die if you don't have some source of fire.
Or you can die with it, because fire either purifies or destroys.
Now, I see, that's the part I know that most people know, though. See, the thing is, most of us, I'm going to say most, I'm going to say, yeah. I mean, I'm going to say, yeah, because the fire is that avoidance. I mean, the fire is The fire requires you to confront in this case. But most of us know that the fire can kill, but we don't know the fire can build. Yeah, but I promise you, a lot of us struggle. And Bible, I'm sorry, Doc. Yeah, I'm speaking about us because I'm speaking about me too. But I also understand that that's very hard work to confront, to set boundaries, to put things in order. We don't like that. But things are not put in order, fall apart. And we don't like rules many times. I'm just going to be honest, if I can be. Many of us go to different type of institutions just to come to different ones because we don't want no order. We like how things look, but we don't necessarily like the structure and the discipline that it takes to create that thing.
That all intentional change requires dealing with discomfort. You got to come out of your comfort zone to be about intentional change. Everything costs something.
Anybody else? Thoughts, comments? Bob, you got the sleepy mic over there. Okay. Well, thanks, Doc. So
once you start the process of change, and it is uncomfortable, I think the more that you allow the change to occur, that sometimes it gets easy, sometimes it doesn't. But the more you surrender to the process, the more you see growth in yourself, and so you're more susceptible to feel the discomfort so that you can be changed.
Yeah. And some people, as I say, are very comfortable. I'm going to say this, and I didn't used to like things. I don't like things that sound hierarchical. But I will say that'll be closing my eyes, though, that some people are more comfortable with change and growth, and others aren't. And you can see that every day. The fight is still the balance and not going to the extreme one way or another. Because I see that people on both ends typically try to pull each other to their direction.
What you're expressing or what I'm hearing and how I'm framing this is it's part of the human condition and human experience. And like you say, it is the what and. It's also duality. I mean, no matter what issue we address or touch or whatever, it's always that you're going to have those that are and those that aren't. And we cannot escape that reality. We cannot escape those that's on the right, those that's on the
I always challenge you though with that one because there's those in the middle.
And those on the middle, from my perspective, worldview, they're on the fence. Certain things
they exist.
Certain things are clear cut. There's certain things are black and white, not using black and white in a racial dynamic. But certain things
that
are
too.
clear cut. Yeah, but here's the other end of it.
Yeah, because I say to you because really, I say to you because human beings are not just one way. It's more to show up or whatever. It's more to us than just right or left.
What ain't?
Both.
Yeah, so
both and. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get it right.
Right.
It's either or and, right?
Multiple dimensions.
Things on a spectrum.
So we are all creatures of habit, and we all have some things that we do well and some things we're challenged by. And in order to deal with some of the things that we're challenged by requires that we deal with our discomfort. And if we don't deal with it, it'll deal with us.
Mm-hmm.
What did that great psychologist say? What's the thing, Bob Marley? You're running and you're running and you're running away. If you can't run away from yourself.
Absolutely. And that becomes, that becomes like, let me frame this back to, you had something, Sister? Go ahead.
Okay, so I think some people choose to stay in the comfort zone out of fear, fear of the unknown or whatnot, or fear that it requires some stuff of yourself that you may not feel like you're equipped with or ready to do. Fear of action. And then also think about sensory issues as well. Some people have like, I'm just, now going back to personal.
Did you say sensory?
Sensory
Okay.
issues that some people have or whatever. Like abrupt changes really difficult for some people or whatever, and it causes a sense of like, kind of goes back to what I was just saying, anxiety or whatever gets heightened just because of like, you know, you keep moving or whatever. So kids need stability to, you know, I'm just thinking about those things as well. And then I'm thinking about, okay, for people who you say that can deal with change a lot better, I think for those people, maybe change have happened so often, they just prepare themselves now. It happens so often. It happens in my life now. I'm cool with it because I'm now, my mind is set to expect that, because actually that's really life. Life is always changing, always something.
I agree. I agree with that, both partly. So what I'm saying is, so some people struggle with change because they experience change so often. Some people.
I think it's about security. When we come up in the stage of with security, I mean, the household and in the community, feeling safe, we're more open to trying something different, to change. But if we come up and play in a household or community that's not stable, that creates some anxiety, even some trauma sometimes that inhibits us from just jumping out into change. So we're much more cautious about it.
Absolutely.
We don't trust life or ourselves as much. We have to build up the capacity to do that.
Absolutely. So, and that's going to what I was saying. So a lot of people, so that change that's rapid actually often creates that instability or that unease, that inability, or the struggle with dealing with change and nuance and uncertainty. To me, uncertainty it's important to grow to accept that which is uncertain. And to me, that is evidence from my own lens of spiritual development. Not knowing that you're not going to know everything, that no one knows everything, that things are in constant movement, that you can't predict everything. In fact, that's what anxiety tries to do. And anxiety, a little bit of it is good, but too much of it will overwhelm you. And it will have you believe in things that are happening that didn't happen yet or probably won't happen. So again, getting back to, I don't even know how we got to this one. How do we get to, but change. But, change, yeah. So change is uncomfortable. Sekhmet is about bringing change about. It's about that dirty pain versus that clean pain. I'm going to put it in a few different, I'm going to label it a few different ways. The dirty pain versus the clean pain. The dirty pain will be that first order change. The clean pain will be that second order change. So the dirty pain is that pain you stay in because it's familiar. That clean pain is that change that you have to do and it's uncomfortable. But this going to that particular amount of heat will bring light at the end of the tunnel. But many of us get stuck in that pain, and then when they see other people making those type of changes around them, sometimes it's very uncomfortable for them. And the reality is, when people have to make those type of changes for themselves and for the community, it's essential. It's very essential. So let's get to first order change. First order change versus second order change. First order change is surface level adjustment. Behavior without belief shift. Behavior without the underlying belief changing. Comfort driven and maintains dysfunction. Second order change is structural transformation, which is difficult if we think about it. We don't like, some of us, many of us don't like even when the job changes the computers. Many of us don't want to change our phones. Many of us don't want to. Y'all change your clothes, y'all black people. Y'all change your clothes. Y'all like to be fresh. But we don't like certain levels of, well, maybe change of style. You know, that's going out on the deep end, right? I had to put these pants on it. You know, that's a whole different style for me. You know, but second order change often disrupts, or is often disruptive but necessary. Second order change restores mayat, balance, harmony, order, reciprocity, propriety, fairness, justice. But first order change pretty much keeps homeostasis in a very, let's say, in a toxic type situation. First order change, when you think about somebody who's been through a certain level of abuse, we get to justify why we stay in it because it's comfortable. And then many times we have thoughts of why we stay in it, even though we don't share it with people. Many times we sometimes don't think we deserve better. Or maybe sometimes we're fearful of what the other world is like. Even addiction and many different things we have to do to change or bring about true change. It's scary out there. I think Sister Trina said many times it's out of fear. So many times first order change is out of fear of the unknown, uncertainty. But I promise you, now I believe that with practice, we can all improve in that area. With practice, we can even become really excited about change. With practice, you realize how difficult it is, and you realize that tough feeling when we bring about second order change is only momentary, whereas first order change keeps us in an endless cycle of stuckness. And that stuckness is on so many different levels. Dr. Gregory in an article, him and Harper, they wrote this thing about, and I like the way they put it. It's called, I think it was that article. It's talking about, instead of saying trauma, I particularly use this word because everybody uses trauma. And I think that they can use this idea of emotional stuckness. It may not be that, but it's like your emotions are stuck. And lots of times we're stuck in many ways because of our emotions are stuck. And lots of times that has to do with fear, the fear of the second order, the fear of Sekhmet, the fear of the unknown. So again, second order change is structural transformation. That means you might have to rearrange proximity. You may have to bring newness in your life and get rid of some old things. I'm not saying it's another thing that I often share is that boundaries don't have to be set where people can't access you anymore. But you can control the door. You can control the lock and the key. And many times if you put up walls, they often don't serve you. Because what I realize that people go through cycles of making these black and white decisions. These in or out, all or nothing, I'm cutting everybody off type of decisions. What that does is make you a very lonely person. And then you go all the way back in without any boundaries. So again, I'll tell you another thing that Dr. Gregory shared with me before is that it's okay to be open. because you can always set boundaries later. When you close yourself off, you create yourself your own cell. But pardon? Go ahead.
I think
Right here.
when you cut yourself off from everyone, you have a reason for doing that. First of all, it didn't serve your purpose for you to make the change that you desire to make. When you do cut everyone off, you have the opportunity to meet the people that you need to have in your life, who will support you in whatever change it is you're trying to work towards. I don't know that once you open that door again, you're back where you were.
Mm-hmm.
You're emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me with this thing?
Yeah, I
Now
can.
I
We
can
can.
hear me.
May I respond? So I think that's a good example. What happens is if you cut off all the people over here and you start with some other people over here, if you don't change the lesson's going to follow you. You're going to create this. You're going to create the same kind of relationships you had over here. You're going to create them over here because if they're happening to give you a message, a lesson about something that you need to deal with in order for your life to be fulfilling. So you can change people, you can change places, jobs, cities, nations, but you still take you with you and create the same patterns until you change.
Right.
And you cannot change as long as you're around those same people you found yourself in when you realized you needed to change. You do go, you do move, you do find out that this person is just like my so-and-so, that I just locked the door on.
Mm-hmm.
I know that is true. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But you have the opportunity. You see this now.
Mm-hmm.
You get to be with yourself. You don't have to be with what everybody else views you as. Or
I'm just trying to add not a story. Maybe something you could just tell me if I'm wrong. Like just give an example, maybe of what she's talking about. Like just running out somebody struggling with addiction or something like that, and you got to change your previous associates, trying to find new associates, and then changing your neighborhood. That's what's out here that's recommended for that, right? To change where
people, places, and things.
Yeah, but you saying there's a possibility if you do all that. Because you didn't work maybe you are working on stuff, but if you stay in that same environment, the likelihood of you falling back in that same circumstance is very high. That's what I feel like I'm getting with what she's saying. But I think you still have to work on self regardless.
So maybe
some
both and?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe you need some time and space around and so you can refocus. But you're still going to have to deal with those patterns. Because if you don't deal with the patterns, they're going to follow you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some people don't want to see change, like politicians. They say are people who see the light at the end of the tunnel, but then go out and buy more tunnel.
Well, you're talking about a whole different kind of addiction now.
Well, it's true. They refuse to change.
I think though, if we even look at the analogy a bit, notice I said if you build a wall and you close everybody out, you're going to build a prison. I don't think there's a disagreement there. I think if you close everybody out, you can't look. If you close that door and you build a wall, ain't nobody, even new people, not coming in. Because that's one part of the analogy. We got to deal with that part first, and then we got to also deal with the pain of the isolation, and then all the things that's going on inside of me that says I'm fearful to even go out there again. right? Because now if I'm shutting myself off from everybody, now I have trust issues. And so I have to do some work. I get it. It doesn't mean that we don't take time for ourselves, because we do need to do that. It doesn't mean don't build a wall with a door. That's what I'm arguing. Because the thing is, the door, you can still open up and let get some food. You can communicate with somebody. You can say hi to them, but you won't stay in their living room. You know, you can do all. It's about the spectrum. You know, you can open the door up a few inches. You can open the door up a few inches, or you can open it all the way up.
Yeah,
you can let all the wind in. You can do like Mama used to say, "Don't let all my air out."
That's it.
But go back.
Yeah, but usually when people do that, they do in their mind at least rationalize it as setting boundaries, in a sense. And at least from my personal experiences when I've done it, we usually don't cut everybody off. It's usually at least one or two people that you still talk to, and everybody else is like, I'll talk to them when I talk to them, or I'll just deal with them after I get done with dealing with what I'm dealing with. So it's like, at least in my mind, I try to rationalize it as, okay, well, I'm setting boundaries without actually setting boundaries.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Some people cut everybody off. I mean, literally, like in a certain way, like even if I'm next to you, I cut you off. Like I can be next to you and still cut you off. I can cut myself off being open to anything. Like, for example, I'm up here right now. So this is to some degree, this is a vulnerable stance right here, right? You know, me coming in here acting like I know something, right? And then now you can, and then you got mics, you know? So there's a certain level of vulnerability that some people won't even do that, right? But there's levels to vulnerability. But some people will close themselves off right there in front of your face. But what I'm saying is, it's also the lesson though. What do I have to do differently? What boundaries do I need to set? A boundary is different than a wall. That's the purpose. The boundary is different because if you can find a way to build up a house with bricks and no door and still have people, let me know. Unless you brought somebody in there with you.
Yeah, one analogy that I learned in the security professional business is that people get guards and stuff on the windows to keep the criminals, to keep people out and stuff like this. But they fail to realize, without understanding, that those same bars to keep people out can also keep you confined. So if you need to get out without proper understanding of that enclosure, you trapped. So a lot of this goes with understanding. Once again, I mean, yes, the bars keep people out, but it can also keep you in.
Yeah. And I noticed what we also do, just to kind of add on to that, we practice with safe relationships. So sometimes it doesn't require us to have any level of emotional vulnerability with certain relationships. Like, you ever been around people you just never had any level of emotional vulnerability at all? Like you don't know, you in your mind, you're like, what if something happens? Like, are they gonna still be here? Because you've been so safe. We know how to choose relationships that we find to be very, very safe. To me, I argue. I see you, Mama Trina. I'm coming for you. So the thing is, personally, I hear the word safe space, and I think it's a euphemism. And that's why I use the word sacred space, because the reality is we don't want to be emotionally vulnerable to each other many times. And to do that, and to be emotionally vulnerable to others has a major part to do with how you form relationships. I think
I had a question. I just had a question. Is there a way to determine if you have a boundary or a wall for you? Like how you can determine for yourself? Like, oh, is this a wall that I'm creating? Or I know you said light keep not, I said light, but you creating a space where no one's able to get in. But is it like, how do I know if it's a boundary that is a good boundary? How can is it a way to determine? Yeah. Can you kind of get what I'm saying?
I can tell you, I think the example Dr. Gregory gave earlier, I typically use that example as well. I usually use this example of, okay, you got your cousins over here, right? And you say, I'm cutting them off. I'm cutting them off. You ain't dealt with them for 5 years. Then you went over here to your other cousins, and then you oh yeah, everything good, right? But then something come up, and you forgot the reason why you didn't deal with them. You was like, they reminded me why I don't deal with them. So now you figure out, okay, what I'm gonna do now. Somehow you find yourself back over to another group of cousins that you cut off too, and then that stuff starts showing up again, and then you cut them off, and then you do the same thing, and you go throughout life, and you continue putting these walls up. But the reality is, you get lonely out there by yourself, and you continue going through these different cycles of cutting people off. And the reality is, you can't cut people off for long because some people, but very rare is that people can be isolated for long periods of time without really without human contact. But let me think about this a bit.
I have a question, if that's okay. So is a wall based on emotionalism unchecked and boundaries foundational with our integrity and our value system? Because to me, there's a balance. There's a balance there. A wall, to me, when I put up a wall, I'm operating sheerly in emotionalism. But when I set a boundary, that boundary is based on my values, the level of integrity that I have toward whatever the situation is that the person is bringing, and just my principles.
I think it can be both, because some people cut off intellectually. Some people, and they're really good at cutting people off. People who like stay here all the time, they can compartmentalize. They don't not to feel anything, right? But their life, there's something missing that they feel inside as well. But emotionalism, that too, Doc, I see.
Yeah, I think the thing that Trina said earlier, so much of this is about fear, running from situations, running from ourselves. I think we do better and balance it off better when we start doing it out of faith. Faith says that, I'm working on this now, I'm living this way, this is how I'm moving forward, and I'm putting this behind me. Faith is a statement of trusting life, trusting yourself, and having a vision of moving forward in a positive way. That's different than I'm running from something. I'm running towards something.
Absolutely, and that goes back to the lesson when we spoke about teaching versus acting out, inventing, right? Like we're doing it with purpose, as Sister Trina also said as well, and Dr. Gregory is echoing here. So, and it's also like what I notice is I don't want to do it out of anger alone.
The root of anger is fear. So if I'm doing it out of anger, the real issue is, what am I afraid of? And to have agency, to have one's power. So we have to get, like I say, away from the fear and into faith.
And I also noticed that, is it about, if I'm setting a boundary, I think when I know it's healthy is when I'm doing it because of my lack thereof, because I have to do it and I'm taking responsibility because I let things go too far, versus blaming everything on other people. I'm pointing the finger, this one, I'm pointing the finger at that one, I'm pointing the finger over there. But the reality is, I realized that at some point, just realistic, I've been in business, I've been doing ministry a long time, just my own self, I realized that I let things go too far. So when I let things go too far, I have to take accountability and make the decision to utilize Sekhmet to say, you know what? I'm not even angry at that person. I mean, maybe I'm disappointed. Maybe I got some other things going on, but that's not the reasoning for my decision. My decision is I have to do better. I have to be more responsible. I have to set order back for my life in the things that I say I'm about. So I'm saying is, whenever I hear people setting boundaries and it's always they can't see where they show up, that's when those walls come up. But when you see the work you have to do and how you show up and how much maybe you gave people too much space. But now, as I said earlier, Dr. Gregory talks about, you can always, tighten up. But when you're closing off, you're blaming everything on other people. That's not saying, and I say it's both and. Look, for me, both and mean they did something. I don't want you to get it confused. They did some things. And maybe it wasn't even respectful. But at the end of the day, what am I responsible for? Because I realize in this culture, especially since COVID, some people realize a lot of times that they like how I feel not being around people. And then now they blame everything. They point finger. And some of us, we don't like friction. We don't like the Sekhmet. We don't like confrontation. So we go along to get along, and then we feel used. We feel like people have used us as a doormat. But you have to set boundaries. A boundary is when you say, okay, maybe I can take you to the store. Maybe I can do this sometimes. A wall is when you say nothing, I can't help nobody, I can't do nothing, never. I can't look, that's a straight wall. No. I say when we first learn to set boundaries, we get really clumsy because it feels very empowering, especially when we're doing it out of anger. Most of us try to set boundaries out of anger because that's the only time that we feel brave enough to do it. So we do it during times that maybe are not the most suitable times, and maybe we set it a little too strong.
So speak to us about boundaries with new people entering your life as opposed to people that have been there for a while.
I think it's what's your name, Mama? And Mama Evelyn said earlier, I think what she said was, you learn from those other relationships, and you can see characteristics in people because you are who you are. People will show up the way because people have certain levels of similarity, and sometimes we attract the same type of personalities in our lives because it's not a good thing or bad thing. I'm just saying it's just a part of it. People are attracted to people that have certain personalities. Like, so example, so you have to learn the lesson from what happened before and say, well, I'm not going to allow that, but at the same time, not so much because the issue is, and it's a process. What I mean is because when you've been, let's say you feel violated or you feel people took advantage of you, sometimes you can close down. In my book, I said, it's a section in my book, and I just make it easier. In my book, I said during my life, there was, what was it called? I said, there was a time where I said a refusal to be traumatized. I didn't have the language, but I refused to be traumatized. And what do I mean by that? I've been, since my early 20s, running businesses with lots of people. And people have, if I told you the things that have happened, I'm talking about really severe, serious things. But if I would have got stuck in I can't trust people again, I wouldn't be continuously doing the things I do. So I would have robbed myself of life. I would have robbed myself of community and relationships because relationships always going to take work. They're always going to take work. In our minds, we look for these equations that aren't real. That people are going to show up how they're supposed to show up in our minds, and that's just not how life is. Life is, people, it's a dance. You have some responsibility in that dance. It doesn't mean they ain't stepping on your foot. You just have to let them know, bro, look, you keep stepping on my sneaker. All right, let's get this right. And that's the part we don't like. Some of us keep letting people step on our feet. And then we see other people who set these levels of boundaries and say, no, I can't do that no more. You got a left foot, 2 left feet. Maybe you might be better with somebody else, but not right here. Now, I don't know. I ain't going to say that. But anyway, but yeah.
It goes back to what Dr. Gregory said about faith.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what the outcome is, there has to be a hopeful vision for your life and the people that connect with you in the future.
Yeah.
And so
a refusal to be traumatized.
Right.
And that's the part I'm talking about. We, if we admit it or not, we are fearful of people. And we don't trust people, many of us. And that is what I'm calling traumatized.
And when we don't trust people,
we don't trust ourselves.
We don't trust ourselves.
Yes, and that is it. Because we haven't learned to trust ourselves. When you learn to trust yourselves, you can set boundaries. I'm talking about boundaries because you know, again, as I said earlier, you can adjust them. And that is how it works. You have to adjust things. It is a dance. Because it really, you have to lead your dance. Your dance. And the other party has to lead theirs. And maybe y'all can come together and tangle.
Dance is strong magic and vivifies your spirit. Your whole being enters into the rhythm of the supernatural. Dance is strong magic. It vivifies your spirit. Your whole being enters into the rhythm of the supernatural.
So, thank you, Bob. I'm going to go through these principles real quick. We're going to close out real soon. So, the 7 principles of Sekhmet. Now, these are just formulated by me quickly today, as Bob said. Just formulated quickly today. It's not something that you're going to go and find. But sacred wrath. Now, I had some help with this. So, anger. Now, I know Dr. Gregory probably debate me on this one, but to me,
you need a debate.
Nothing is a both and approach, right? Anger can be divine, but the problem with anger is that if you live there, some of us live there and we need it to make decisions. We truly just make decisions. We like to get angry because that's the only time I feel brave enough to make the decision. I'm saying my suggestion is not allow anger to be that messenger to tell you that something needs to be done. And then reflect on it and make a decision, not out of anger, but let that messenger be something to help you reflect on what changes, not first order changes, but second order changes that need to be made. And first order changes are okay sometimes too, because it's a both and. But if it's really critical and oppressive and people are holding up on their parts, then we got to do a little bit more than rearrange the furniture. Restoration, number 2, restoration through fire. Fire that clears, not just burns. That's what you was talking about earlier, Mom. 3, precision over emotion. Discipline directs the fire. So you need both the fire as the emotion, but you also need discipline. That's both and. Healing requires discipline. And that right there, I see in our communities, we run from all the time. And because disciplined people sometimes ain't fun to be around. Sometimes they party poopers. They like to tell you, well, it's midnight. So we got to pay the bill. Oh, don't eat too much. But we need that. And we need to have some fun too. But as Dr. Gregory told somebody before, like, you can't let the little boy and little girl run the show. It's okay to have them, but you can't let them run the show. I'm sorry, he probably didn't know my mind really. I remember a lot. I'm sorry, pardon. So if you say something around me, it's just part of that,
Passed on to others what's been passed on to me.
Yes. Righteous boundaries. Not retaliation, but sacred protection. So that's 5. 6, the mirror, not the weapon. What you feel is often what needs to be seen. And other people probably don't go. You might say something.
I'm just asking in ourselves first. Right?
Yeah, I say what we feel needs to be seen in ourselves and also externally. Because one of the things,
other people are just reflections of the things that are going on in us. When I say I hate a lie and a thief, I'm saying I hate the part of me that lies and steals. You know, other people just bring up our issues so we can deal with it. It may be uncomfortable, but they're really doing us a service, because we're all here to learn, to grow, to become our divine selves.
And this one, I look at that as a both and. I say they could be a liar and a thief. You know, me and Dr. Gregory got a whole episode we call. I say they could be a liar and a thief, and I could also be struggling with that too. But you know, but I also say, which one is this? Number 6, the mirror, not the weapon. What you feel is often what needs to be seen. I also think just look. I'm a referencer, right? I'll just let y'all know. I call that living libation. And what I mean, I call it living libation. I think we should give credence to those we learn things from. We talk about keeping people's names alive, but again, another thing I've learned that I think was profound from you is this idea that it's not about learning the thing, it's about the conceptualization more than just because you know things, but then you hear people put it in ways and you're like, whoa, that people are communicating all the time. So what am I saying? When we go back, the mirror, not the weapon, what you feel is often what needs to be seen. Okay, it's also external. Because if I'm not able to see what's going inside of you, I will not be able to pick up on that message. And I say that in African culture or Black culture or indigenous culture, we understand that it's high contextual culture. And what does that mean? It's not always highly verbal. It means that through emotions, through actions, inactions, people are messaging. So it is important also that we also pick up on something. Well, whether that is good or bad or whatever it is on the spectrum, you read that message. So yes, if somebody's going to steal from you, you might want to get out their way. You might want to set a boundary or maybe a wall at some point, because you don't need everybody, but you need some people. You know. In 7, the return of Mayat. So Sekhmet, the return of Mayat. Every act of Sekhmet, and this goes back to what Dr. Gregory said earlier, every act of Sekhmet is a return to Mayat. Every act of Sekhmet ultimately restores balance. So that is the purpose that Trina and Dr. Gregory spoke about. Is that purpose. Like, so, and again, and I'm saying, I speak for myself, and I'm going to tell you, I'm a very disciplined person. And what I mean by that is, you're going to hardly find me do a thing that I ain't think about. Even if it's cussing you out. You better know I thought about it. If I murdered you, pardon, I probably won't. But the thing is, it was premeditated. Y'all like, so what I'm saying is, it's very difficult to get me in rage, even though I might be looking like I'm battling a little bit.
Suppose you're dealing with a masochist who likes being tortured, cursed out.
I hear what you're saying, and you're saying that would also be thought out. Right. Because what I would be saying is the best thing to do is to respond. How do I respond versus react? Because sometimes react, it might not be the best thing to do at that time. It's not, if you're dealing with what do you call them? Masochist. I don't even know what that means.
He loves receiving pain.
Okay. So if you're dealing with, hold up, say that again. Loves receiving pain?
Yeah.
He loves receiving pain.
Yeah,
or she, the other.
No, she does.
Oh.
Masochist.
Oh, I mean, I thought you meant they were giving me pain.
No, he loves receiving.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to partake. I don't.
You'll be the sadistic one.
The logistic one?
Sadistic.
Okay. Yeah. I no, not that either. But no, I will. I don't partake in dominatrix, whatever you call it. So again, it's important closing this out because I had questions, but it flow how it should flow. Again, I was saying that it is important that we set boundaries. It is important that we bring about change. It is important that we name things even. It's important that we deal with things both intellectually and emotionally, as we spoke about earlier. It's very important that we deal with things in real time. It's important that we don't put things under the carpet. It's important that if we say we're community, that we deal with what's going on. Because for too long in our community, people have been silenced. And people who don't speak up for themselves often feel oppressed, neglected. And oftentimes, it keeps the process going. It keeps it going on and on and on. So with that, I'm just going to send it around a circle, and we'll close out. Any closing thoughts, feelings, comments, reactions, catechism?
No, just thank you again, Barbara, for understanding and clarity. I appreciate it. Ashe.
Yo, I just want something else from you. You're gonna take your glasses off for it, huh?
I appreciate everything you said. I also feel like in order to, when you separate yourself from whoever you think you need to separate yourself from, you do have to figure out how you came to be a part of that, or how you came to be who you are based on where you came from. So you got to do that. I'm not saying you don't have to do that. You don't just cut them off and you're fixed. That was not my intention. You do have to work on yourself. And then when you move forward, you will, like I said, run into those people who are just like the people you ran away from. But you see them. And I don't think that means that you are still the same. I don't mean to say that you are still exactly the same. Things have changed about you. You've had time to consider how you came to be who you are based on how they became who they were. Whatever the case may be, I enjoyed the conversation.
Is there any reconciliation?
And the young guy there said too, you do hang on to one or two people.
Oh.
And maybe in fact there will be reconciliation. I'm sure. Once you become strong enough. And I think you need to continue to keep your boundaries in place. Yeah, I think you need to do that. Because once you come to be who it is you're looking to be, you don't really belong in that group anymore because they're fine. And you're not fine with that. And I believe there are people who do move away and never look back. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but it's true.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Now, what I often say though, if doing so becomes your what do they call it, modus operandi, our mode of doing a thing, I think it's important that we examine it. You know what I mean? Like if this is what we're doing with all of our relationships and they're all like cut completely off, I think it requires some reflection. Mama, anybody else? Closing Bible?
for me, coming from a home where there was a lot of domestic abuse, but outwardly, my parents seemed really perfect. My mother was a scientist, my father was a sociologist, but hell went on behind those closed doors. And I watched my mother just suffer in silence. And I was determined, as Miss Sophia would say in The Color Purple, I swear before God, I wasn't going to hold peace or trauma like that. So I talked a lot about it. But what I'm learning now in this space where I am in my life is that it's good to talk, but it's also good just sometimes to be silent and observe, to be able to dissect what really is happening in my mind and in my heart. And yeah, I'm complete.
Thank you.
Assess the messages. Say, what's the lessons?
I think there's a lot of truth in myths, like Sekhmet, Maya. It's not like it's a blueprint for our lives. It takes those lessons from these so-called myths, which are truths in a sense. They're not myths.
I sure. All right. Everyone good? What about y'all back there? I'm feeling all the loose energy the whole day. I've been feeling his energy the whole day. Nothing? You gonna reframe this time? What about you? Never. Okay. All right. So, okay. Back in the back, all the way in the back seats. Ashe? Okay. All right, family. Online. Thanks for joining us. Y'all look like y'all was in there steady and strong. We appreciate it. Was there any questions online? If you got any closing out or closing things or takeaways, just drop it in the chat. As Queen says, don't hold back. And we thank you for joining us. Blessings, peace, and power.
Every man has a place. In his heart there's a space. And the world can't erase his fantasies. Take a ride in the sky on a ship fantasize. All your dreams will come true right away.
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
The 12 of never. Our voices will ring forever as every thought is a dream, rushing by in a stream, bringing life to the kingdom of doing. Take a ride in the sky, on a ship fantasize. All your dreams will come true miles away. Our voices will bring together until the 12 of never. We all will live young forever as one. Come to sing victory in the land of fantasy, loving life a new decree, bringing mind to everlasting liberty.